Chosen one, you did not arrive here by coincidence. The hand of heaven orchestrated every step that led you to this exact moment. There are no accidents in the timeline of the divine. There are only appointments written in light. What you are about to hear is not a message of opinion. It is a decree from the throne. The Spirit of God has drawn you here to uncover a mystery. Why everything and everyone seemed to turn against you the moment you began to rise into your purpose. You have wondered why certain doors closed, why those you trusted shifted, and why invisible resistance began the moment you aligned with your destiny. This is not chaos, it is construction. God is training you in the language of warfare and government. Every delay, every opposition, every misrepresentation is part of the curriculum of kingship. Stay still for a moment. Heaven is about to speak directly into your assignment. Chosen one, hear this with the weight of revelation. The government of darkness has observed your ascent. They see what you carry. The shadow systems that govern this world understand authority. They recognize spiritual rank long before men do. And when they saw the mark of divine governance on your life, they began to orchestrate resistance. But what they meant for sabotage, God meant for strategy. You are not being destroyed. You are being trained. Every spiritual ambush is divine education. The same hand that allows the battle has already written your victory. Heaven is not late. Heaven is intentional. The pressure you feel is not proof of failure, but proof of selection. You were chosen to rule, and rulers are not trained in peace, but in pressure. Stay with me until the end. This revelation carries your next divine instruction. Before we go further, perform this act of prophetic alignment. Write in the comments right now, trained by God. Do not type it casually. Type it as a decree. When you write it, heaven records your agreement. And while you do that, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Not as routine, but as a prophetic act of faith and alignment. Every time you engage with a word of destiny, you activate its power over your life. This is your confirmation that you are part of a remnant being prepared for rulership. You are not here to survive the system. You are being trained to govern above it. Now listen carefully. The revelation that follows will change how you see authority, power, and destiny. Chosen one, before we proceed into the deep revelation, I must tell you this. If this word stirred something deep within you, it's because heaven is calling you higher, to rule, to lead, to bring divine order wherever you go. The manual of God's chosen warrior is your next step, a 10-step guide to help you walk in prosperity, wisdom, and spiritual authority. The link is in the description and the first pinned comment. Take it today and begin walking as the ruler God designed you to be. Chosen one, what you are facing is not new in the kingdom's timeline. Every soul marked for rulership has walked through the valley of sabotage before wearing the crown of purpose. The divine script has always included resistance because resistance refines. The same way heat forges metal into weapons, pressure forges prophets into governors. The battles you encounter are not evidence that God has abandoned you, but that He has identified you as capable of bearing the weight of command. When Moses was chosen to liberate a nation, the empire that enslaved them intensified its control. When Esther was raised in silence, the spirit of Haman arose in manipulation. You, too, have been identified by both realms, heaven and hell, and both are now responding to your awakening. One to refine you, the other to restrain you. The story of David mirrors your moment. Saul's jealousy was not born of misunderstanding, but of spiritual recognition. He could feel the anointing of kingship resting on a young man who had not yet ascended to the throne. That is the same reason people in positions of power have subtly resisted your progress. They sense what you carry, a kingdom authority that cannot be bribed, controlled, or diluted. Yet, instead of destroying you, their opposition is polishing your discernment. You are learning how leaders think, how authority moves, how to navigate jealousy without bitterness. What seems like unfair treatment is divine rehearsal. God is showing you the anatomy of corrupted leadership so that you may rule without repeating its mistakes. Understand this: every system resists the one sent to reform it. Pharaoh did not chase Moses into the desert because of personal hatred. He feared losing control over the narrative of power. The same principle applies to you. The structures of today, political, social, even spiritual, are terrified of voices that carry incorruptible truth. The shadow government you feel pressing against your destiny is not just a political construct. It is the invisible coordination of fear, greed, and control. They do not fear your name. They fear your awakening. The moment you understand that authority flows from obedience to God, not human systems, you become ungovernable by their manipulation. That is why the attacks feel strategic, because they are. Chosen one, the Father is not allowing this sabotage to humiliate you. He is allowing it to train your spirit in wisdom. The greatest rulers of heaven's order are not taught in comfort. They are sculpted in resistance. God could have removed Saul from David's path instantly, yet he did not, because the war with Saul was not about survival, it was about instruction. David learned patience, restraint, and loyalty under a hostile system. You are being trained in the same school. God is teaching you how to lead without revenge, how to serve without recognition, and how to speak truth in a system that rewards silence. The very opposition that tried to delay you is refining your spiritual intelligence. Look at Joseph, chosen to govern Egypt. Before he ever touched the throne, he was thrown into pits, sold as a slave, and imprisoned for lies he did not commit. Yet every injustice taught him the psychology of power, how rulers manipulate, how systems operate, and how to keep integrity under pressure. When God finally placed him in charge, he ruled with compassion because he had suffered under cruelty. Likewise, your current season of sabotage is your preparation for compassionate governance. Heaven is cultivating empathy in you, not weakness. You are learning the art of power that heals instead of oppresses. The modern chosen one is being trained not in temples, but in systems. God has placed you inside environments of manipulation, betrayal, and misrepresentation so that you can learn the language of influence. You are learning to discern motives behind words, agendas behind policies, and spirits behind faces. This is your prophetic internship in leadership. Heaven does not graduate leaders who have never faced injustice. It allows them to walk through it until they learn to rule above it. When you master composure under corruption, you qualify for divine promotion. And when heaven seems silent, it is not absence, it is supervision. The teacher never speaks during the test. Silence is God's way of observing your mastery of principles already given. You have prayed for clarity, but heaven is watching for consistency. The test is not whether you can hear God, but whether you can still trust Him when you don't. This is the stage where faith becomes government, where belief becomes structure. The chosen one learns to operate by revelation, not reassurance. You are being trained to make decisions from conviction, not comfort. Chosen one, the desert you walk through now is not punishment, it is ordination. Every great ruler of divine order has had to pass through seasons of obscurity where their strength was tested not by applause, but by absence. The desert teaches what palaces cannot: dependence on God, clarity under silence, and authority that does not crumble when unsupported. This is the same wilderness that shaped Moses, where he learned to govern not by emotion, but by command. You are in that same dimension of training. Every dry season you have endured was heaven removing distractions, ensuring that when you ascend, you will not be moved by seduction or fear. The desert is the classroom where true dominion is written into your spirit. The power that is forming inside you, chosen one, is not the power of domination, but of order. God does not raise tyrants, He raises reformers. The systems of the world operate through manipulation, while the kingdom governs through alignment. When you learn to discern between these two forces, you begin to see why certain partnerships failed and why some platforms rejected you. It was never rejection. It was redirection. The divine knew that premature exposure to corrupted influence would deform your purpose. Heaven was filtering every connection to preserve your crown. You were not being overlooked. You were being protected. Now the Spirit reveals the deeper truth. Power is not transferred through success, but through resistance. Every moment you endured false accusation, every time you chose integrity over comfort, authority was being deposited into your spirit. You have learned that real influence is not about followers or recognition, but about the capacity to govern without losing your soul. The trials have been your ordination process. Heaven hides its generals in pain before unveiling them in purpose. The struggle was never random. It was prophetic. Chosen one, understand this: God will never place a crown on an untested mind. The maturity of the throne requires the maturity of the soul. Many want authority, but refuse accountability. You, however, have been through both. That is why the sabotage could not destroy you. It was actually confirming your readiness. Every false alliance that crumbled, every unfair dismissal, every unseen betrayal was an exam in disguise. And you passed, not because you were flawless, but because you stayed faithful. Heaven records endurance as excellence. You have become what Scripture calls approved through testing. This is why the opposition has been so targeted. The shadow systems see your development. They sense that your inner man is aligning with divine governance. The more you grow in wisdom, the less they can manipulate you. That is why the warfare increased the moment you found peace. They cannot fight you on old grounds anymore. Now they attack through distraction and emotional fatigue. But do not confuse pressure with defeat. Pressure is proof that you are about to graduate. Heaven is finalizing your refinement. You are being shaped for visible dominion. Chosen one, this process is not just spiritual, it is deeply practical. God is teaching you how to govern your emotions, your finances, and your relationships. You are learning what it means to walk in self-discipline and discernment. When you master governance within, you will carry authority without. The same patience you have developed in waiting will become the stability others seek in chaos. God is teaching you to lead nations by first leading yourself. The promotion you sense is not only external, it is structural. You are becoming the system heaven will use to restore justice. The enemy believes he has been blocking your path, but he has unknowingly been participating in your training. Every false accusation has refined your speech. Every delay has refined your timing. Every betrayal has refined your discernment. God is using the schemes of the enemy as blueprints for your rulership. You are not learning how to escape darkness. You are learning how to govern in the midst of it. When the time comes, you will not merely survive opposition, you will rule over it with divine intelligence. Chosen one, the time of training is reaching its summit. You can feel the weight of the pressure intensify, not because you are losing, but because the test is nearly complete. Heaven always increases resistance before promotion. What you are experiencing right now is the tension between your current level and your next dimension. The pressure is prophetic. It means that the oil within you is about to flow publicly. Every unseen lesson, every secret prayer, every silent endurance has brought you here. You are standing on the threshold of divine manifestation, and the enemy senses it. That is why everything seems to be pressing at once. The spiritual atmosphere knows that your unveiling is near, and the systems that once ignored you are now alarmed by you. In this stage, silence becomes heaven's loudest communication. When God stops explaining, it means He is about to demonstrate. The solitude, the moments of confusion, the feeling of being misunderstood, they are not abandonment. They are preparation for revelation. When Jesus was led into the wilderness, the Spirit did not explain the test. He simply empowered him to pass it. You are being empowered now in the same way. The silence you perceive as absence is divine proximity. God hides behind stillness to test the weight of your discernment. Can you trust His voice even when it echoes through mystery? Can you stand in authority when you don't feel validation? These are the final exams before coronation. Chosen one, the paradox of divine government is that the more you are resisted, the higher you are being elevated. Resistance is not rejection, it is measurement. Heaven uses opposition to weigh the strength of your integrity. Every accusation reveals how much truth you can carry without compromise. Every delay measures your ability to govern without frustration. You are not being punished. You are being proven. When you understand that resistance is proof of value, you begin to bless what was meant to break you. The system may call it sabotage, but heaven calls it qualification. The Spirit of God wants you to understand that sabotage is not always demonic. Sometimes it is divine choreography. What looks like obstruction is actually orchestration. When certain connections collapsed, it was not sabotage by man, but redirection by God. He removed what could not stand under your coming glory. There were people, platforms, and opportunities that would have misused your influence had they remained. Heaven allowed their betrayal to reveal their true alignment. The exposure was painful, but it was merciful. God would rather break your heart in private than let corruption corrupt your crown in public. Now, the time of unveiling is near. The same environments that rejected you will soon witness your authority. The ones who mocked your isolation will see the manifestation of your preparation. This is why the spiritual warfare feels heightened. The enemy fights hardest at the edge of transition. You are moving from hidden refinement to visible dominion. The same way David went from caves to the throne, you are about to shift from survival to governance. Heaven has scheduled your emergence, and no shadow system can cancel a divine appointment. Chosen one, pay attention. The proof that your season is shifting is not comfort, but confrontation. When the warfare changes tone, it is because your assignment is expanding. God is enlarging your territory, and with it comes new resistance. But this time, you will not respond as a soldier. You will respond as a ruler. You will not fight for validation. You will legislate through revelation. Heaven is teaching you to rule through stillness, to decree through wisdom, and to govern through peace. You are being equipped to reign among enemies without losing purity of heart. Chosen one, Now the veil is being lifted. You must see the sabotage for what it truly is, not mere opposition, but a calculated effort to neutralize divine influence before it becomes visible power. The enemy knows he cannot destroy you, so he tries to distract and discredit you. This is the spiritual infrastructure of sabotage: manipulation of perception, distortion of truth, and orchestration of delays. It works through whispers, misunderstandings, and fatigue, all designed to make you question your own authority. But listen closely, because this is revelation. Every time the system attacks your identity, it confirms your assignment. The shadow government only targets what heaven has already anointed. The resistance you face is organized not only in the spiritual realm, but also in earthly systems that mirror it. Political, financial, and cultural structures often become instruments of unseen principalities. These systems thrive on confusion, dependency, and distraction. When a chosen one rises with clarity, independence, and divine purpose, he becomes a threat to that order. You were never meant to fit in because you were sent to reform. The attacks against you are indicators of how much influence you are about to carry. They cannot stop your rise, but they will attempt to exhaust you before manifestation. That is why the warfare is constant, not to end you, but to wear you down. Yet what they fail to see is that every hit against you multiplies your endurance. Chosen one, understand the method of their sabotage. They attempt to infiltrate your mind through emotional warfare. Doubt, loneliness, fatigue. They twist conversations, plant misinformation, and weaponize your empathy. But your spirit has matured beyond manipulation. You are beginning to discern the invisible strings behind human behavior. You see who speaks truth and who speaks agenda. This discernment is not paranoia, it is prophecy. God is revealing the spiritual geography of your opposition. You are no longer reacting, you are observing. And when you observe from the Spirit, you disarm the enemy without lifting a sword. The shadow system operates through distraction. Its goal is to keep you fighting battles beneath your rank. If you can be lured into emotional conflict, you will waste energy meant for divine strategy. This is why heaven trains rulers in stillness. When you master the art of silence, you become unpredictable to the enemy. Saul could never understand how David remained composed under persecution. That composure was his greatest weapon. In the same way, your calmness terrifies the system. The enemy does not know how to fight a heart anchored in peace. You are learning to win wars through wisdom, not through noise. Chosen one, the temptation in seasons like this is to respond in the flesh, to prove, to defend, to explain. But remember, kings do not explain. They decree. The moment you start defending what God already confirmed, you lower your spiritual jurisdiction. The Father is teaching you restraint, not weakness, but mastery. Jesus did not answer every accusation because he understood that silence was a form of government. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you exercise dominion. You are no longer fighting for victory, you are ruling from it. The greatest weapon God has given you in this war is discernment. Discernment reveals patterns before they become problems. It allows you to recognize spiritual influence behind human faces. When you walk in discernment, you govern from foresight, not hindsight. The enemy loses advantage when you see him coming. That is why your spiritual sight has been under attack. Distraction clouds perception. But heaven is restoring clarity to you. Your vision is returning sharper, your intuition stronger. You will soon perceive intentions before words are spoken. This is royal intelligence, divine espionage, granted only to those trained to govern. Chosen one, hear this final decree of the confrontation. The enemy's strategies are collapsing under the weight of divine timing. What was meant to suffocate you is now suffocating them. Every accusation, every manipulation, every attempt to block your path is being turned into evidence of your legitimacy. Heaven is using your enemies as architects of your elevation. What they built to trap you will now testify of your endurance. Every system that conspired against you will be required to witness your coronation. The battle is not ending in destruction, it is ending in promotion. Chosen one. Now the revelation unfolds. God is not merely defending you, He is promoting you through the very opposition that was meant to bury you. What you perceived as sabotage was divine strategy in disguise. Heaven does not train its rulers in peace, it trains them in conflict, so they will know how to legislate in the midst of chaos. Every hardship has been a classroom, every betrayal a lesson in discernment, every closed door a rehearsal for sovereignty. You are not the victim of warfare. You are the evidence of divine governance being tested and proven. The moment you realize this, your entire posture changes. You no longer pray for escape, you pray for wisdom. You no longer seek validation, you stand in revelation. This is the turning point where training ends and rulership begins. Chosen one, understand this sacred truth. Sabotage is heaven's university for kings. Before the throne is entrusted, the heart must be proven. Before authority is released, humility must be solidified. The kingdom does not crown charisma, it crowns character. God has been shaping your inner structure to sustain outer authority. The attacks you endured revealed weak places within you that needed fortification. Every false friend, every delay, every season of silence was part of the curriculum. Heaven is meticulous. It never promotes untested vessels. You are graduating from survival into dominion, not because the warfare ended, but because you learned how to govern through it. You are learning to rule among enemies, not in their absence. Divine authority does not require the removal of opposition. It requires mastery within it. When David ruled, remnants of Saul's followers still opposed him. Yet his reign flourished because he understood the difference between power and revenge. This is what God is teaching you: how to navigate hostility without hatred, how to lead among critics without losing composure. You are being entrusted with the ability to sit at tables where manipulation dwells and yet remain untouchable. This is governance, by grace. God is forming in you the kind of authority that cannot be bribed, broken, or bought. Chosen one, the throne of heaven is not a place of isolation. It is a place of exposure. God is sending you back into the very systems that tried to destroy you, not for retaliation, but for reformation. You are not being anointed to escape the world. You are being commissioned to govern it. That is why your training has been political in nature, because divine governance must enter real structures: the boardroom, the council, the parliament, the company, the ministry. Wherever you are assigned, your presence will alter policies and atmospheres. The same wisdom that kept Joseph alive in Egypt is now being awakened in you. You are not called to hide in sanctuaries. You are called to sanctify systems. The resistance you endured has given you the one thing rulers cannot fake: authority. True authority cannot be learned in books or bought with status. It is forged in the fires of contradiction. Every time you stayed faithful when you could have retaliated, you increased your jurisdiction. Every time you blessed those who cursed you, heaven expanded your influence. Authority is measured by how much injustice you can endure without losing alignment with God. That is why you are being trusted with governmental power, because your heart remained pure under pressure. Heaven is now responding to that integrity with elevation. Chosen one, the Spirit declares, the age of hidden kings is ending. Those who have been trained in obscurity are about to be revealed publicly. Heaven is not sending entertainers into systems, it is sending governors. You are among them. This revelation is your confirmation that what you carry is not random inspiration. It is a royal mandate. You have been designed to implement heaven's justice in earthly affairs. This is why God refined you through conflict. Because the throne you will occupy requires discernment, humility, and divine diplomacy. You are not being placed to dominate, but to restore. The kingdom's government flows through righteousness, and you have been fashioned to carry that righteousness into corrupted spaces. And know this, chosen one, the weight of your warfare has been equal to the weight of your calling. The greater the opposition, the greater the territory heaven intends to give you. You were never fighting for survival. You were fighting for jurisdiction. Every test enlarged your capacity to rule. You are being positioned to oversee more than influence. You are being prepared to shape outcomes. This is the moment when heaven's decree over your life shifts from waiting to walking. The throne you were promised is not in the distance. It is already forming beneath your feet. Chosen one, what is unfolding now is not coincidence. It is orchestration. Heaven is repositioning leaders who were refined in silence and misunderstood in the crowd. You are among those rising. God is releasing you into visible authority, not for your validation, but for His agenda. The systems of this world are trembling because a new kind of leader is emerging, one who has learned to rule from humility, one who has been trained by resistance, one who cannot be manipulated by flattery. You are not entering power to participate in corruption. You are entering to cleanse it. The kingdom is sending reformers into positions of earthly influence so that justice can once again wear a human face. Your experiences of betrayal and pressure were the prerequisites for this moment. They did not delay your purpose. They prepared your perspective. Chosen one, divine governance always arrives through human vessels, and you are one of them. The world is searching for leaders who can hold both truth and compassion, justice and mercy, conviction and peace. That balance is forged only through testing. Your journey through sabotage has been heaven's way of teaching you that rulership is stewardship, not control. The authority being given to you is to restore order, not to impose dominance. The political climate you see unraveling around you is not chaos. It is the old order collapsing under the weight of heaven's new agenda. The Spirit of God is placing His reformers in positions of decision-making. You are not being sent to argue religion, but to embody righteousness in every sphere you touch. Understand this revelation. To govern among enemies is not to be surrounded by them, but to stand above their influence. You will sit in meetings where compromise is currency, yet your integrity will set new standards. You will be invited into conversations designed to corrupt, yet your discernment will expose what is hidden. This is not intimidation. It is infiltration by light. The kingdom advances not by isolation, but by incarnation. Light enters darkness and transforms it from within. That is why God did not remove you from certain places. You are not there by mistake. You are there as divine infiltration. The same Spirit that preserved Daniel in Babylon is preserving you now in your modern Babylon. Chosen one, remember this truth. Jesus himself ruled among enemies. His greatest victories were not in comfort, but in confrontation. Even at the table of betrayal, he remained in government. He demonstrated that authority does not require perfect surroundings. It requires unwavering alignment with the Father. The world watched him be opposed, yet none could dethrone him. That same spirit of governance rests on you. You will face resistance, but never defeat. Contradiction, but never compromise. The same grace that empowered Christ to speak peace in storms will empower you to decree order in confusion. You are not fighting for influence. You are enforcing divine order. Every act of sabotage has been transmuted into strategy. The Spirit of God has converted your pain into prophecy. The people who conspired to bury you have become the reason others will believe in your resurrection. The system's attacks have become your credentials. What was once meant to prove your weakness is now evidence of your strength. Heaven will use the testimony of your endurance as a blueprint for other reformers. Your scars are not shame. They are signatures of divine craftsmanship. The crown you are about to wear was purchased with perseverance. It carries the weight of every tear, every prayer, every unseen act of obedience. Chosen one, heaven now declares, the season of testing has produced legitimacy. You are no longer being prepared. You are being positioned. Your spiritual authority has matured into governmental relevance. God is not sending you to escape systems, but to oversee them. You are part of a divine transition in the earth. From manipulation to righteousness, from fear to justice, from oppression to order. The crown you carry is not ornamental, it is operational. Heaven crowns those who pass the test of hidden warfare. You have endured that war. Now rise in the calm confidence of divine appointment. What you carry is not opinion. It is mandate. Chosen one. Now the word turns inward. Everything you have heard so far was not abstract prophecy. It was your personal revelation. The Spirit of God is saying to you now, every sabotage you endured was not random suffering. It was divine architecture. You were not merely surviving attacks. You were being sculpted for authority. Every misunderstanding refined your communication. Every false accusation purified your intentions, and every disappointment redefined your discernment. Heaven was never silent. It was strategic. God was teaching you to hear Him above the noise of betrayal and confusion, so that when you govern, your decisions will be guided by divine clarity and not human emotion. You have learned to distinguish between sympathy and strategy, between comfort and command. You are now ready to lead not as a wounded survivor, but as a wise ruler. Chosen one, discern the purpose behind your pain. The betrayals that once broke you are now your textbooks in leadership. The patterns of deception you endured have become your training manuals for discernment. When others plotted to delay your destiny, they unknowingly helped you master the terrain of power. Heaven allowed you to taste injustice so that you would reign with compassion. This is how divine government operates. It turns pain into policy. You will now counsel others not from theory, but from scars. Your story will become legislation in the Spirit, a living decree that teaches others how to endure and reign. The very things that once made you question God are now proof that He was always preparing you for something greater. Now, chosen one, God is inviting you to see your enemies through new eyes. They were not random obstacles, they were reluctant teachers. Every one of them introduced you to a part of yourself that needed refinement. The liar taught you to love truth. The betrayer taught you to guard your heart. The manipulator taught you to depend only on divine direction. What they meant for evil became the syllabus of your rulership. The throne God has prepared for you is surrounded by adversaries so that your leadership will remain alert and pure. You are not called to destroy your enemies. You are called to rule so effectively that their schemes lose relevance. Chosen one. The highest form of power is inner mastery. Those who cannot govern themselves will always misuse the authority given to them. That is why God spent years teaching you to rule your emotions, your impulses, and your speech. The fruit of your training is restraint. The mark of your maturity is silence that carries authority. When you learned not to react, you learned to reign. This is the hidden law of divine kingship. Rulership begins within. When your spirit stays steady under attack, heaven knows you are ready to command without arrogance. What once provoked you now trains under you. The storm no longer defines you, because peace has become your throne. Chosen one, understand that the battle you endured was not just for survival, but for structure. God was building the inner architecture necessary to hold public influence. You are being trusted now with impact that will shape systems, inspire nations, and restore justice. But before heaven sends you into those realms, it ensures your motives are sanctified. That is why your calling took longer than you expected. God delayed your visibility to perfect your integrity. Every postponement was protection. You are now ready to occupy spaces that others compromised in. You are not entering those arenas to imitate them, but to transform them. Now hear this decree. You have been officially commissioned. Heaven recognizes your endurance as proof of qualification. You have graduated from survival to strategy, from reaction to rulership. You will speak and things will align. You will decree and systems will shift. The same spirit that guided Joseph in Pharaoh's court and Daniel in Babylon will now guide you. You will not need to force doors open. Your presence will become a key. You are not chasing influence. Influence will chase you, because heaven trusts your stewardship. You have passed the test of hidden warfare, and now the mantle of visible authority rests upon you. Chosen one, prepare yourself, because divine timing is no longer approaching. It has arrived. The moments you thought were wasted have become the foundation of your assignment. The relationships that broke you positioned you for alliances that will bless you. The silence of heaven was never disinterest. It was incubation. Now the sound of commissioning is echoing in your spirit. You are being sent into your next chapter as both priest and ruler, one who intercedes with compassion and governs with wisdom. What begins now is not a new trial, but a new throne. You are stepping into the sphere for which every tear prepared you. Heaven calls your name not as a survivor, but as a sovereign. Chosen one, look back now with divine sight. What once appeared as chaos now reveals itself as construction. Every moment of pain, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer was a carefully measured stone in the building of your throne. Nothing was wasted. The sabotage that tried to break you became the foundation of your endurance. The opposition that sought to silence you became the amplifier of your authority. What the enemy orchestrated for destruction, heaven transformed into design. You have been built in secret for a public mission. The world will soon see the strength that was forged in silence. You are not stepping out of warfare. You are stepping into command. The storm has not ended because you escaped it. It has ended because you now govern it. Chosen one, understand this eternal principle. The throne of purpose is always built from the fragments of testing. God does not give crowns to those who avoid battle, but to those who endure and learn. You have learned. You now carry wisdom that cannot be taught, only lived. Every moment of betrayal imparted discernment. Every delay imparted patience. Every hardship imparted grace. You have become the very thing your trials tried to prevent. A ruler with empathy, a leader with righteousness, a governor with compassion. You now stand as evidence that divine government is not a theory, but a living reality expressed through human vessels yielded to heaven. The kingdom will expand through you, because you have become its expression. Chosen one, take a moment to recognize that what was meant to be your burial ground has become your coronation stage. You are not returning to the same places as the same person. The world you are re-entering will meet a different you, one who has seen heaven's pattern and carries its authority. The hidden season of your making is over. Now begins the unveiling. God has written His decree upon your life. You shall govern among your enemies. This is not poetic symbolism. It is prophetic legislation. Wherever you go, order will manifest. Wherever you speak, clarity will rise. Wherever you stand, corruption will lose strength. The sabotage is finished, and sovereignty has begun. Chosen one, lift your head and give thanks. Every test was training. Every tear was tuition. Every attack was advancement. Heaven has not only restored you, it has upgraded you. You will no longer walk as one seeking validation, but as one enforcing vision. The era of your hidden warfare has closed, and the era of your visible rulership begins. The light of God now surrounds you as a mantle of governance. You are entering a season where what you say will shape what you see. So decree boldly, walk humbly, and reign wisely. For the government of heaven rests upon your shoulders, and nothing in this world can stop what God has ordained through you. Chosen one, before this message seals, hear this final invitation of wisdom. The Spirit of God is providing tools not just for inspiration, but for implementation. The Manual of God's Chosen Warrior, a step-by-step guide to prosperity, was not written to entertain your faith, but to equip your government. Inside its pages are 10 divine and practical steps that bridge the spiritual and the tangible. A guide that teaches how to unlock provision and maintain integrity while walking in authority. This is not a book. It is a divine blueprint for economic dominion under heaven's order. If you have felt the call to move beyond revelation into real transformation, then take hold of this manual as an act of obedience. Access it through the link in the description, not as a transaction, but as an alignment with your next phase of rulership. Chosen one, now receive this prophetic closure. Heaven is releasing a decree over you. The sabotage has expired. Every hidden plot designed to delay your destiny is being nullified by divine law. You will move through this season with uncommon favor and unstoppable clarity. What once resisted you will now serve you. Systems that ignored your presence will soon require your wisdom. Nations will look for solutions you already carry. You are the embodiment of answered prayers long forgotten by others. God has positioned you not behind the scenes, but before kings and councils. Your name is being whispered in rooms you have never entered, because heaven is announcing your arrival. Stand firm, speak wisely, and walk humbly, for the government of God is now advancing through you. Chosen one, this is the final seal. Write in the comments right now, crowned by fire. Let heaven record your agreement, Like this video, subscribe, and if this message has spoken deeply to you, support the mission through Buy Me a Coffee as a prophetic act of faith. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Your agreement fuels the continuation of this movement. You are not alone. A remnant of divine rulers is awakening across the earth. Together, you are establishing heaven's order in every sphere. As you step into your day, carry this blessing. May divine wisdom guard your decisions. May peace govern your heart. And may the power of God's government reign through you. The kingdom is advancing, and it advances through you.